ready. Ice cleat.
For 4?
It's no less than 3. We're out here on early ice, very thin, very clear ice.
I guess you'd call it early ice, right? I mean, It's like, it hasn't been here that long, but enough to do wheelers.
You hope all day they bite, but they usually always bite in that last 45 minutes.
It's getting to be that time of the night.
Nice fish.
That's a real perch. That's a bruiser.
That is a nice kill.
Our tropical fish of the north right here.
And that's why you make trips like these, is for donkey bluegills like that.
Welcome to AnglingBuzz Ice. On this episode, it's all about panfish, perch,
This is a beautiful fish.
crappies, sunnies.
Another solid gill.
We're gonna be joined by the best hardwater anglers across the Midwest.
And this is my lifeblood.
To kick it off, we're gonna go with Jeremy Smith, and he'll be showing you how to get prepped for this upcoming ice season.
Hey, there's 2 common problems that a lot of folks have the first time you head out on the ice. And that is equipment not starting. I'm talking gas equipment, snowmobiles, 4-wheelers, and ice augers. And then secondly is batteries. Your ice auger's not running, your depth finder's running short of power halfway through the day. So I'm gonna show you what I do to combat those problems so the first time you head out on the ice, you're fishing and not fighting it. Let's get started on the battery side. So in terms of battery maintenance or care in the off season, the biggest thing is make sure that your battery is not drawing any charge in the off season. So if that's your depth finder, make sure that the power leads are pulled from the terminals. And if it's your ice auger, make sure that the battery is not sitting on top of the auger because that's drawing power. And when you go to use it the first time, it'll be dead, and often it won't accept a charge at that point. If you leave the power connected to a unit that's not in use for an extended period of time, it can draw the power down so low that it won't accept a charge and your battery is pretty much shot. The other thing is give it a charge a couple times throughout the season. Now if it's late in the season, go ahead and do the same thing. Top the batteries off, but it might be worth just powering up the unit when you're doing something around the house or whatever and see how long the charge lasts. If it looks like your unit's going for 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it is, that's great. You know you're in good shape, but if you power it up, you're getting a low voltage or it's acting funky, you might know that it's time to replace that battery, so get ahead of it so you're not trying to buy a battery the day you're going fishing. Just firing it up for a little bit, I can tell that I've got a battery that's not been taken care of, and this one's gonna give me trouble. Now onto the gas-powered equipment. And I don't care if it's your chainsaw, it's your weed eater, it's your lawnmower, it's your garden tiller, it's your 4-wheeler, or snowmobiles like this, these old war horses that we count on for fishing and for work. This system will make sure that your engines start every time. This system is really simple and it works great for any piece of machinery that has kind of periodic use or is stored for long periods of time. The idea is get a really low tank of fuel in anything that you're running. So in this case, I've run the snowmobiles down to almost nothing, and I'm gonna add a whole can of seafoam into each one of these machines, and then I'll run them for say 10 minutes or so to get that through the entire fuel system. Now when you're ready to start these things up at the beginning of the next season, just add fresh fuel and you can be sure that these babies are gonna be running tip-top. So I'm gonna fire this up. We literally just got these things out of storage and we'll see if this system does indeed work. This is the moment of truth. All right, let's see. This system is amazing. It works every time, and everyone I've ever shared this tip with is floored by how consistently it works and how much more time you get to spend fishing and not fighting with your gear.
Next, we're gonna be joined with a guy who's probably used one of these more than anyone on the planet, Tony Roach, and he's gonna show you how to be a more efficient ice angler.
You know, electric augers have really changed the way we ice fish, the entire landscape. I mean, you hear very few gas augers out here anymore, and it's for good reason. These things start in the cold, you don't have to worry about gas, you can drill a lot of holes effectively, efficiently, and most of all, quietly. Whereas before, it seemed like the whole world could hear you drilling holes. Now we can drill out a set of structures and nobody knows you're even out there. The benefit of using a StrikeMaster auger is the laser blades. They cut super fast, but they rely on the sharpness of the blades to cut. One tip that you can do, and which I do every time I throw it in the back of my truck or I set it on the ice, is I put the blade guard on. I've got almost 2 years of holes on this alone. That's tens of thousands of holes. It still remains just as fast as it did right out of the box, and that's because I put the blade guard on. The other thing about these electric augers, especially the StrikeMaster, is the light flight bit. You know, you don't have that steel bit on there. What I like about that is not only is it lighter, but it's also faster and doesn't hang up on the ice. When you're drilling a hole, it's smooth as butter, and then on to the next hole. You know, for me, to get the most out of drilling, I like to drive out the contour lines, whether you're in a truck, a snowmobile, four-wheeler, kind of mark out your contour lines, following the map contours, and then coming back and drilling them out to get you on the spot, The flats have just little nuances to them, whether it's rock, it could be just a little bit of vegetation on the bottom, doesn't have to be much. And for me, drilling a lot of holes throughout the winter is a must. I spend countless hours seeking out walleyes on these structures, and this is my lifeblood. I make my living with a StrikeMaster auger in my hands.
You know, it's great to be mobile when conditions allow, but sometimes that's not always the case. So next, we're gonna join Mike Hainer and Jeremy Smith as they hunker down for some primetime crappies.
You ready?
All right, bud, let's do it.
You know, mobility is a big word these days in ice fishing, being able to move and cover ground and catch fish. But sometimes mobility can be counterproductive.
Yeah, you can catch fish by hopscotching around them, but at the same time, they're moving through. So when it's brutally cold like this, it looks like a beautiful day to be on the ice, but it's one of those frigid January days. Wind is coming, so we're gonna set up where we find the big school of fish and hunker down and catch some pans.
Let them come to us.
All right, I'll drill some holes and you can do some looking.
Absolutely, sounds good.
So one thing when you're cutting with these laser bits, this happens to be the light flight from StrikeMaster here, the 8-inch bit on the 40V. It's crazy light, it weighs nothing. But if you're used to drilling with like a chipper blade, you want to apply a lot of downward pressure with these. It's just a matter of basically the weight of the auger is going to cut through the ice. So you really don't want to apply a lot of pressure when you're cutting, and the blades will actually cut faster.
Sunny.
Weeds here or no?
No, it's mucky bottom though.
Maybe just drill one more out here.
Nothing here.
This is our spot.
This is good weeds. Try one more off to the side, just at 10, 15 feet and see. Okay. Yeah, you know, the camera really like helps a lot, Jeremy, but like if you really want to find a spot, what do you look for?
You look for places where fish houses have been. That's the number one thing.
So right here we've got sunflower seeds, chew spit, weeds, a big trample down area. This has got to be it.
You know, we forgot shovel.
Got a shovel.
Yep.
Everything else.
Yeah, we did pretty good though.
Well,
Cool.
based
This
on
is
our
it.
exploration of hole cutting and searching, this is the hole.
Yeah, there's it's like mud or sand to mud and a few weeds here, so it's got a few of the elements.
Better weeds, we're right on the edge, so
Yeah.
I guess it's as good a spot as
Yeah,
any.
there's
We're
a lot
gonna
of fish here.
camp on them and sit all day and see what we got.
Heck yeah.
So one thing about fishing in a house like this, it's, you know, nice and roomy, but still when you get two guys in here, it gets full quick. So you want to arrange your holes and where you're sitting and the stove and everything in the right way, so you got room to move and not bumping into each other, getting tangled up. So basically Jerry's got his 2 holes over there set up. We got the stove over here, and then I drilled a bunch of holes, which seems maybe somewhat ridiculous, but I like to fool around with other things. So I got a hole here I'm fishing out of with my jig line. I've got a small hole I cut to put the AquaView micro camera down because I like to film the fish and see what they're doing. I've got a little hole here to put my graph down so I can actually watch this line and not get my fish tangled up in the deucer. And then I have a second hole sitting right here behind me that I might put a minnow down later when it gets to be crappie time. So having everything set up in the right spot just makes things more user-friendly and comfortable when you're fishing in the house all day. So. Yeah, really good spot you picked there, Jim.
Yeah, good spot there, Mikey.
Yep, that was really good.
Real good.
Lots of fish. Way to sit on them. Well, I guess it's easy enough to move this thing.
Yeah.
So. So spot number 2.
Off we go. Clearly see it really pays to sit and wait them out.
Sit and wait them out. It ain't fun unless you gotta work for it.
No. Fish always seem to make you earn it.
This is a crappie, I think, right here. There we go.
Crappie?
Crappie, yeah, the first one.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice one?
Oh, it's a decent one, but boy, he just came right in and ate it. So that's a start. We're gonna do way better than this. So one thing you'll notice is I'm, fishing with this AquaView Micro Revolution camera. I just enjoy doing it to see what the fish are doing, but there's a number of ways you can set the camera. This camera head has 3 settings, and what I'm doing now is setting it so it points up. So you can do straight up and down, pointing down, so down viewing, or up viewing like I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing is lowering this camera down. I have it on a little bracket to hold it in place, and then I'm viewing up. So basically, I have this camera almost sitting on the bottom in the weeds, kind of hidden. It's looking up, so I can actually see the surface of the ice as well as looking up at my jig. So it's kind of neat. I can see the minnow that I have here down for the pike, and I can see my jig down there, and then when the fish come in, I can tell what's coming in.
Here we go. All right, here we go.
What do you got?
I don't know, I was just trying to get my line down, and I got myself a nice crappie, Mike.
Yeah, is that actually a nice one?
It's caught in the deucer, caught in the other line.
Perfect.
Yeah. There we go. Like I said,
They're coming in.
they're coming in, they're moving in. Nice crappie.
And they're getting bigger.
Yep, who doesn't love that? I see more down there too. I'm gonna get it back down. See, dude?
It's getting to be darker. The crappies are moving in, so that's my cue to pull up the sucker minnow, and I'm gonna put a dead stick rod down with a crappie minnow on it. So hopefully to double my odds here of catching crappies. But having a minnow line down when you're fishing in a house is, in my mind, always a good thing. So when you're dug in like we are for the day and on fish like this, having a second line with the minnow down is, you can never go wrong with that. There we go. There's 2, 3 crappies coming in right now, Jared.
Yep, got him. Oh, really high. Really high. Yeah.
You got one of them?
I did, yeah.
Sweet.
See if I can get him. Nice one.
It's getting to be that time of the night.
Yeah. Nice fish.
Mm-hmm.
Really
That's
nice
a good one.
fish. Heck yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to show you this. Let him go. And I want to show you the jig that I'm using right now to fish these panfish. So the fish have been real tentative today. And when I'm crappie fishing, I'm almost always fishing with plastics, but there's bluegills here as well. So I've been fishing with Euro larva for the most part. But what I have here is this is VMC's Mongo jig. And what I like about this jig, let me get these Euros off, is it's a bigger hook than like their tungsten tubby and a bigger hook than you see on a lot of smaller panfish jigs. And why I like that hook size is particularly when I'm fishing areas that have crappies. You'll notice when you're fishing bluegills with small jigs and small hooks when you're around a lot of crappies or bass. Those hooks tend to not get a lot of good purchase in the bigger mouth of a crappie. So I find that fishing a bigger hook like this, when you're around both gills and crappies, you have a much higher landing percentage on the big crappies with this. So I like the Mongo jig. I'm gonna get rebaited and hopefully get going. It's that magical hour right now. I might put the lights up here in a second too. They're starting to show up, Mike. Today was a cold, sunny day, just one of those days you look at and you're like, this is gonna be a tough day for fishing. And those are absolutely the days that you wanna be out here at prime time, late, you know, it's worth staying for that dusk bite. That last hour, you know, of the day and the first half hour after dark are really the times when you can make hay, because the bite's tough during the day. And then look at this, like we've been struggling and now they're hitting hard baits that are just hanging suspended down there when I'm not even jigging them, and they're starting to bite our other baits too. So we're really
2 in a row,
really getting on a good bite here. So when you're dealing with cold conditions, tough conditions, it is nice to be able to sit in comfort like this. Mikey's got the fan and the light over there blowing heat down, got light here, we're comfortable, we're on a school of fish and it's been pretty darn cool. So yeah, digging it. The last magical witching hour, perfect. Yep. And there's more fish down there, I can see them.
Hub houses have become very popular over the past few years, and you can make these things extremely comfortable. Next, we'll join Nick Linder as he shows you all the accessories we can add to your hub house.
So right now I'm in the Clam X600 thermal hub house. As you can see below me, right now I am standing on a floor. Now what's cool about floors is that they actually give you a little bit of insulation against the ice so that all your stuff isn't sitting on the ice and your boots aren't on the ice. It just keeps you a little bit warmer. You have a nice floor that's easy to put on. There's actually Velcro all the way around it and it attaches easily to the hub. Half dozen holes around the perimeter. A floor is a nice option. Now as you can see above me, you absolutely need a set of lights on the roof of your hub house. Something like this is super slick, super easy to use. Hook it up to a 12-volt battery, and as we move over here, you got a simple remote to dim it, make it brighter, and you can even change colors. If you're gonna fish in a hub house, especially at night, it pays to have some sort of lighting system. Now, moving over here, a really cool accessory that Clam just started doing this year was their hub mount system. Now, as you can see right here, the hub mount is screwed directly into the hub of the house, and what this allows you to do is put a variety of accessories on there. Of course, you're gonna want a rattle reel in a hub house. Now, as you'll see, this goes on quite easily, and boom, it's right above the hole, ready to rattle up some walleyes for you, or crappies, or whatever you're chasing. Next up, if you're more of a dead stick kind of guy, and I do love dead sticks, there's an attachment for that. Actually, I got a rod back here. See how easy this is? Put it right in the hole, tip it up above the hole, and boom, ready to go. Super slick dead stick attachment. Another cool attachment right here is the rod holder. Now, if you've got a bunch of rods, you're set up in the hub, you can take them out of your bucket or your rod case or wherever you store them, and you can put them up here, safe on the side of your hub. Just another option. And last but not least is a nice little storage table system. Slide right in there. You have a place to put your beverage, somewhere to put your players. It's just a super slick system. You have everything close at hand. Hopefully, some of these will help make your hub house fishing experience just a little bit better.
We've been hunkered down for long enough, and it's time to get on the move. Next, we're gonna join Brian Brosdahl as he gives his perch fishing 101.
Got an eyeball spoon. Doesn't that look like it'd be a perch treat? Those should be the buckshots, rusty crayfish, natural crayfish, blue, pink, and glow. A bigger eyeball spoon, I don't think they're going to be afraid of it. And you want a rod that's Got a little bit of backbone. That's been a really hot color. Of course, we gotta have some pink. Perch love darters. They're not everywhere, but when perch see them, they destroy them. Oh yeah! Boy, they mean business when they think, oh, look at this one. Check this one out. That's a real perch. That's a bruiser.
That is a great fish.
Aren't they cool looking? It's our tropical fish of the north right here. It's got all the orange, pretty cool fish.
Let me take a photo.
People hear about Leech Lake jumbo perch. Well, the perch aren't everywhere. It's a giant lake, just under 115,000 acres. But in that 115,000 acres, there might be jumbo perch in 20,000 acres of it. They're in small areas where their habitat is.
Oh, look at that. There's a nice one. Look at the color of that thing. Nice fish on a buckshot. I tried a flutter spoon, just a little too much action. They like it just kind of shimmying, but those are good perch right there. There's one waiting for me, so I'm gonna drop it right down. So you can see we're fishing in about 8 feet of water. You can see them swirling down by the bottom. I go down to them and then I bring them up, and they come up. The farther away you pull it, the more mad they get. And it's like plucking the star off a Christmas tree. They don't care. When they're biting, oh, look at this one. That's a true jumbo right there. They're aggressive. When you're tipping your baits, a lot of people take a minnow and just put the treble hook through the head and then snip it off right there. But I come down here just past the dorsal fin and just take the small of the tail off. Call that the bloody stump. See if I can get them to follow. They usually come up and attack it. There we go. That's perch jerkin, catching perch. It's a lot of fun because it's a high volume fish. We'll let that one go. But now look, drop it down there. There he comes. That one darn near hit at the bottom of the hole. That's a mini predator. Set the hook and they come flying out of the hole because they're right under the ice. He just pounded it. Perch are just a blast. Yeah. There's one sitting down there. I get close to it and then I bring it up again. Make them really mad. They're coming so fast at it that they miss it. Nice fish. A lot of fun. Good luck perching.
There's really two places to catch jumbo perch: big water and tiny ponds. Next, let's jump over to the duck sloughs of the Dakotas.
Way back, secret spot.
Here we go, Ty.
Got one?
That's kind of what we're looking for
yeah,
right there.
better.
Right there is a jumbo perch. So Ty Shadeen and I are out in South Dakota, and when you think of jumbo perch, South Dakota comes to mind. It's known for jumbo perch. So right now we're on a 15-acre slough, a duck slough more or less, and South Dakota has different bodies of water than Minnesota does, in that they're shallower lakes, they're more alkali, they have a lot of shrimp, and they grow big perch fast. So we're gonna keep poking around on this little slough and see if we can get a few more nice ones.
Oh, there we go.
I think, Jack, that's a good one, eh? Huh?
Oh, nice one. Look at that.
Ooh.
There you go, buddy. Oh. That's what we're talking about right there. Like Mikey was saying, we're out here in South Dakota, and this is what you call a jumbo perch in South Dakota. They actually get bigger than this. This is a beautiful fish, and in these small farm ponds out here in South Dakota, I mean, these are absolute gems out here. You look off the highway and you look at some of these bodies of water that are frozen, they look like little sloughs, but they actually hold fish like that.
So one thing about fishing perch out here in the Dakotas is you have all extremes. You've got Devil's Lake up in North Dakota that has, you know, water, super deep water, but you'll catch perch in 40, 50, 55 feet of water. And then you come to like a spot where we are, and this pond tops out at 8 feet. So, but the big thing about all the Dakota waters is food. It's all about the food, and these lakes are a little more rich in food than some of our lakes in Minnesota or farther east. So the fish grow bigger and they grow quicker. But the thing is, when you come to fish for perch, you got to be prepared for anything. So when Ty and I were getting ready to come out here, we brought everything. We brought rods with mono, we brought rods with braid in case we had to fish deep, a lot of hard baits, a lot of soft plastics, and of course a lot of bait, because perch, as aggressive and plentiful as they are, they can be as picky as any fish around. So you can see tons of fish and not get them to bite, and you have to play around with them and eventually figure out what they want. But in the long run, fishing out here on these bodies of water is probably your best chance of getting a really trophy perch, like a 14, 15 incher, but just getting a nice mess of big fish. You know, if you can get on the right bite, you can get a good meal of fish in that 11, 12, even 13 inch range. So that's what's fun about coming out here to the prairie.
We've all been there when we have some fish, but it's not quite sure if you have enough for a meal. Well, we're gonna show you how to make a little bit go a long ways, and that's fish tacos.
Now there's a number of ways that you can make fish tacos. I'm gonna share with you one of them that I personally like. It involves like a salsa / slaw, as well as an avocado dill sauce that's sour cream based that I'm gonna make. And then you just need your fish and some tortillas in your set. So the ingredients are pretty simple, and we're gonna start with the slaw. I like starting with purple cabbage as a base that adds a nice crunch. We're gonna use some red onion, some Roma tomatoes, or if you could get your hands on San Marzanos, those would be great. They're not too watery. A jalapeno pepper, you could use Serranos or Anaheims or a habanero if you wanted some extra spice, some lime, and a little bit of fresh cilantro. That's it for the slaw / salsa. I would recommend not adding salt to this if you're gonna keep it for a day or two, because that salt's gonna draw the moisture out and you're gonna lose that nice fresh crunch. So if you're gonna keep it in the fridge, keep it like this. You can add some coarse cracked pepper to it if you want as well. Now we're gonna make a little fancy sauce. It's sour cream based. We're gonna use avocado, some dill, a little salt, and some lime. All right, so we've got our sauce here. I'm gonna get this chilled, and while I've got a mess here and I'm still cutting stuff up, I'm just gonna slice the lime into wedges so folks can have it if they want to dress their taco at the end. Now another thing you can do ahead of time is prepare the breading. I like to have something a little more spicy. If you want, you can just buy like a Shore Lunch or a store-bought and spicy batter mix. You can use an original batter mix that's basically doesn't have a ton of flavor to it, or you can just use flour. In this case, we're gonna use some original Shore Lunch, and I'm gonna add a little bit of chipotle to it, some cumin, which I think is a really key ingredient, maybe a little garlic and some paprika more so for the color. Now I mentioned we're doing breading. You don't have to fry the fish, but at the fish house we've got the fish fryer set up. We're gonna also fry some corn tortillas with it. So if you wanted to bake this, baking is a great option. You can grill the fish to do this. You can pan fry it. And I love corn tortillas for this, and corn tortillas can be heated on a grill or in a dry skillet, but to me, when you fry them, they're just exceptional. Now let's head out to the fish house. So we have everything prepared that we could do ahead of time. Let's cook some fish. I'm gonna grab some crappie fillets out of the cooler here that I just cut these in half. So you want smaller pieces because you're gonna be putting them in a taco. So you don't want big fillets, you want pieces that would fit in a tortilla. I'm gonna bread these and get them cooking. So I like having a nice light coating. I don't want like a heavy beer batter for this. Just something that's real nice and light. So we'll just dust off the flour and we'll start throwing these babies in there, and they should, look at that. Should be just sizzling perfect. All right, so the fish is done. Now let's start cooking some tortillas. So you can use yellow or white corn tortillas, but corn tortillas are the deal. I think this is really the secret to good tacos. So these just have to go in for just a real brief period of time. Just want them to kind of firm up just a little bit, and then we'll pull these out and send them on a paper towel to dry. Just basically warming them up in oil. So all that's left to do is assemble the tacos. So grab a tortilla, piece of fish. I'm gonna add a little bit of citrus to the fish because I always think that's a nice touch. Throw in a little bit of our fancy sauce here. Add a little bit of slaw. And then the last ingredient that I think is huge, makes it delicious, is a little fresh cheese, queso fresco in this case. And if you want, you can add some hot sauce, some salsa brava I like, or a little sriracha. And there you have it, fish tacos. Let's eat, boys.
Welcome to this episode's Cool Products, brought to you by Fleet Farm. To kick it off, we're going to start with the Humminbird Ice Helix 7 unit. This is their Gen 3. This unit offers chirp and GPS capabilities. It offers your 2D sonar, it's got a flasher mode, and it also has mapping capabilities, which is huge. And this is a unit we all run here at AnglingBuzz Ice, and it's great. Next, I want to talk to you about another piece of electronics, the AquaView multi-view camera system. And what's great about this is it hooks right up to a fish house, the big screen. You can also hook it up to some ice fishing units. It's great for kids, and it's just an absolute must-have if you're in a big fish house. All right, so next is the Strike Master Light Flight Laser Drill Unit. And what's great about this is it comes in an 8-inch and 6-inch drill bit. They're both under 5.5 pounds, so they're incredibly light. It also can hook up to your Strike Master 40 volt or a cordless drill, and it just makes cutting holes super easy. Now, if you're gonna be cutting holes all day, comfortability is key, and that's where this Clam Ice Armor Rise Suit comes into play. Now, this is a float suit. And when I think of float suits, I kind of think of rigid and restrictive, but that's not the case with this. It's super flexible, super comfy, it's great protection from the elements, and in the end of the day, you have that peace of mind to know that you'll float. So speaking of comfort, here's a product that makes a portable fish house incredibly comfortable, and that is a Clam multi-directional fan and light combo. And what it is it's a 2-speed fan surrounded by 18 LED lights. And this can be powered by 12 volt capabilities as well as battery, and it's just gonna make your fish house warmer and brighter. Now, it wouldn't be an ice show if we didn't talk about set lines and tip ups. And here I've got the Beaver Dam tip up. And what's great about this is they're super durable, they're made of wood, it's not a cheap plastic, it's not gonna break on you. They also got a super smooth spool, which helps for light triggers. And this particular one's got the American flag color scheme. So speaking of set lines, here we got Catch Cover's Rattlesnake Rattle Reel. And what's great about this is Catch Cover makes these quick discs, and you can mount these to ice houses, you can mount them to portables, but what we did is we mounted it to Catch Cover's safety cover, and you can just pop this open, drop this in, and there you are, you got a great rattle reel setup, but it also prevents unwanted things from falling down an ice hole. So, speaking of rattle reels, Suffix actually makes a metered rattle reel line, and what's unique about this is every 50 yards, it's got a mark, so you can actually spool up 3 different rattle reels with one spool. It's also got this V-coat technology, which makes for easy and tangle-free handling, and it also comes in a variety of colors. Now, I got a couple rods for you serious panfish guys, and the first one I want to talk about is the Tuned Up Custom Rods Bullwhip. And what's great about the Bullwhip is it comes in sizes from 28 inches all the way out to 36, so you can really find the right rod for you. You know, if you like fishing inside, there's that 28 inch shorter, but if you like hole hopping and outside, we got all the way up to 36 inches. What's also great about the Bullwhip is it's got this highlighted tip, so you can really see those super light bites from panfish. And when you do set the hook, it loads up into a really nice backbone, so especially if you're fishing deep water crappies or something like that, it loads up and you can really drive that hook home. And if you're into panfish, this is definitely a rod you guys gotta check out. So the next rod I want to talk to you guys about is the new addition to St. Croix's Custom Ice, the Pan Dancer. So this is a solid glass rod with an extra fast tip that loads into great backbone. It's got these recoil guides so you can flick off ice build up if you're fishing outside. And what's also great is just this 32-inch is just an all-around killer panfish rod. Now we're going to talk about the business end. And tungsten's been all the rage for panfish. And what's real cool is Northland came out with these tungsten punch jigs and tungsten punch flies. And what's really unique about these is they tweaked the head design so they actually fall at a 20% faster rate than jigs of the similar weight. So what's real nice about these wide gap hooks is you could fit big plastics on there. You can load them up with spikes. I mean, on this tungsten jig, punch jig, I could probably put 5-6 spikes on there if I needed to. And then this tungsten fly actually has soft hackle built into it. So, you know, just one little spike on that, or even just plain fly itself, you got a great action in the water. And what's real nice is you can punch through slush in your hole with these and not have to clean it out. You don't have to get your hands wet because they're super compact and super dense. So here I got the Northland eyeball spoon. And what's great about this is it comes in a wide variety of colors and sizes. It has glow options, and it also has a really lifelike eye to help you match the hatch. Now to move on to hard baits. And as you guys can see, I never go out there without a variety of hard baits. And one hard bait I want to talk to you guys about, the Rapala Ultra Light Rip and Wrap, is a great bait for targeting the biggest panfish, especially early season and late season. It's got BBs in it so you can call fish in. It's a good calling bait. You don't have to fish it with live bait, and it just triggers strikes. Another thing I like to use it for is actually fishing for trout later in the year. I find its great action really triggers those fish to hit it hard. That's it for this show's cool products. Make sure to head to your local fleet farm to pick up some of this awesome gear. Now, it wouldn't be a panfish show if we didn't talk about bluegills. So next, we're gonna join Brad Hawthorne as he shares his system on finding and catching big gills.
So today we are on a bluegill mission. As you can see, right here I got my good buddy Brad Hawthorne, I got my new buddy Clay behind me, and last night we had the pleasure of sleeping out of the Yeti, had some rattle reels down. We actually poked a pretty sweet bluegill in the house as well as a bunch of Walters, but now that it's daytime, we're gonna go out and hunt.
Well, I think we kind of drilled around here and figured out that we need to move and drill more, find more fish. So that's part of being mobile. Simply hit the button, detach the house, jump on the back of the tailgate, drill holes, be mobile, find fish.
So what we're doing right now is we're trying to find fish as efficiently as possible, having to drill as little holes as possible and not fishing in dead water, basically. So what we're doing is sitting on the tailgate of a truck right now. Brad's up front driving, and Brad is driving to different points of interest. And what we're doing is we're drilling a hole right here behind the tailgate and dropping the 360 unit, basically looking at it on a big Humminbird helix screen, and you can really pick out fish pretty darn well in that system. It's kind of like if you'd imagine rolling through here with a boat with side imaging, and you can pick out the little white specks. So we're not gonna fish anywhere that we don't see quite a few fish.
What I've learned through using Mega 360 on ice is basically, it doesn't lie. You know, when you go to an area and my eyes are open in a 160-foot circle, so I can see 80 feet that way, I can see 80 feet that way. I can even pump that up, you know, farther out if I want. But I sit and let it rotate for 3 to 5 minutes, look for the hot white dots, little kernels of rice, whatever the species you're looking for, and then drill your holes accordingly. Okay, we're getting there, Come here, big guy. They're definitely getting there, you know. That guy's getting close to what we want. But again, he's not the big bull male we're looking for, but he's getting close, giving me hope. Little.
Now I'm on the gill train.
You're on the gill train now?
I'm on the gill train.
Nice, Nick.
Very solid gill. Not a monster. We're hoping for like about 2 more inches on top of that. That's the goal. It's so crazy when you're chasing bluegills how like this tiny small moves can make a huge difference.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Like they're not in this hole, but they're in that hole.
Oh, look at that guy. That is a beautiful gill right there. He came in and just thumped it. All right. Again, look at that nice, big, huge bluegill. We're gonna send him back. Look at that. He's a little bit wider than that 8-inch hole, probably about a 9-inch gill. Nice. I get a lot of questions on up bites. How do you detect an up bite on a noodle rod? Oh, combination panfish rod for heavier jigs. And quite simply, it comes down to line. You see how my line lays absolutely beautiful across my eyelets? That means it's straight. Okay, so that's what you have to start with. And the second is, like that's a 4mm jig right there with a couple of wax worms on it. And you see how my rod is bent with that setup right there. It's got a slight bend to it. Now watch this, when I just cup that jig, that's what you're looking at. So when you're jigging and that rod is bent like that, take a picture of that in your brain. So when you're jigging and you look away or you do whatever, a buddy says hi or whatever, when you look back at that rod, if it looks, it has that same curvature to it, you know you don't have a bite. If you look back and it's up a little bit, set the hook. So typically my up bite scenario is I'm using no less than a 3mm jig, usually 4 and 5mm jig, and I'll be able to see those up bites quite easily, especially with 2-pound test, just like that. It's that easy. And sometimes they don't come up that far. Sometimes it's just your rod tip goes level. So pay attention to your rod tip, take a picture of that rod tip, what it looks like with that lure on there, and remember it, and you'll catch a lot more panfish. We just dove into up bites. So now let's talk about the precision noodle versus the bullwhip in the tuned up line. Now the noodle is my go-to panfish rod, and I know a lot of guys love that bullwhip. I love the bullwhip, it's a great rod. But the panfish rod of my choice in the line is gonna be our precision noodle. And the reason why is I can fish 2, 3, 4, and 5 mils very, very effectively on this rod. Now with that being said, when we get into those heavier 5, 6, 7mm jigs, 30-second spoons, when we get into that bigger, heavier tungsten stuff, that bullwhip is absolutely dynamite. Like you don't want to take a bullwhip out, throw a 3mm on it, and think you're going to detect a ton of bites, because you're not, because it's just a little stiffer of an action of a rod. That's how you make the decision between the two. If you guys are out in the Dakotas and you're fishing a lot of heavier stuff for bluegill and perch, I'm going to say go with the bullwhip all day long. If you're the Minnesota guys and you're fishing a lot of that 3, 4, and 5mm stuff, go with the noodle. Ooh.
That could be a good fish.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is gonna be a big fish. That is a nice gill. Oh. Look at that. And that's why you make trips like these, is for donkey bluegills like that. Just beautiful when you see them. From the way you get the purples in there, the greens, just awesome. You know what the best part about these gills is? Say thanks for letting me catch a 1-pound bluegill, and then you put them back just like that. Because if you don't let the big ones go, all you're gonna get is small ones the next time they come out.
Ice fishermen will go to extreme lengths to get their hands on big bluegills, but unfortunately, those fish are becoming increasingly rare. With any luck, that'll change with Minnesota's Quality Bluegill Initiative. Let's join Dave Weitzel from the Minnesota DNR to explain.
And here we have a nice northern Minnesota sunfish. And these are the kind of fish that people are telling us that they'd like to see more of in our lakes. So one way that we've been able to maintain quality in our bluegill populations is through the use of reduced bag limits.
So traditionally, we've had about 60 lakes in the state that have had reduced sunfish limits, either 5 or 10 fish limits. And as the popularity of these fisheries have grown, we're starting to look at ways to expand that program. So starting in 2020 and 2021, people will be hearing about the Quality Bluegill Initiative. And basically, it's a stakeholder-driven program that's looking to increase the use of these special regulation lakes, because we're hearing from more and more of our stakeholders, everyday anglers, resort owners, our fishing guides, our fishing celebrities, that they'd like more opportunities for large bluegill. So we're looking to expand the use of both 5 and 10 fish bag limits on lakes that have biological potential to grow large bluegill, but they also have to have a strong social interest. We're not going to ram these regulations onto lakes where it's not going to be socially popular, but when there are interested stakeholder groups and there's good potential to grow large bluegill, hey, it makes sense to go with some of these regulations, or at least ask the public the question to see what they think about it. To begin the process of the Quality Bluegill Initiative, we asked our various area fisheries office to look at their biological data. A lot of our lakes in Minnesota are surveyed on a 5 to 10 year rotation. So we've actually got some really good data sets at this point that go back oftentimes 40 or 50 years. So we can see what kind of fish are in our lakes and how those populations have changed over time. By drilling down into that data, we were able to identify somewhere between 100 and 150 lakes that we think would positively benefit from a reduced bag limit at this point in time. So our next step is to go ahead and talk to the public and see if these lakes have the social interest in special regulations. So people might wonder, why are we focusing on a reduced bag limit? And the reason is because there's a good track history there. We've actually tried regulations on about 60 of these lakes in Minnesota, and what we found is that lakes with a 10 fish limit have generally maintained size quality. When we go to a 5 fish limit, we've actually seen an improvement in size quality. In fact, average length has increased by almost an inch, and we see an increase in average age, which means that our fish are staying in the lake longer and having the opportunity to grow larger. So as we move forward through the process, what's going to happen, we'll actually come up with a list of lakes that are being considered for these special regulations. We'll post information at the access point so that anglers are aware that these lakes are being considered. We're going to hold public input meetings because we really want to get the public's opinion on these regulations. A regulation only works if people support it. But we really feel that through the use of reduced bag limits, we can definitely maintain our high quality bluegill fisheries and maybe even improve some of those that have slipped over the years. And it's going to benefit anglers, especially those that really value catching large sunfish.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for this show. Please go check out AnglingBuzz.com, where we'll be having a sweepstakes and our newsletter. Sign up when you're there. We'll also be releasing fresh content each week on our social platforms. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Big walleyes on my line are awesome and so utterly divine.